note that had some secret information that, unfortunately, you know, our Star City Games Masters, I'm not sure if they care for us to talk about it just right now, because we got a match underway. Bobby Sullivan with no rug versus Kurt Spiess. We got a fetch land. Wooded Foothills is going to go find something. Sometimes in the Midwest we call those sack lands, but not everyone goes that way.
I go with fetch lands.
That's kind of like the Coke and the pop,
Yeah.
you know, or the pop and the soda.
Soda and pop, exactly.
Tonic around these parts.
And we've got an island facing off versus forest. Now, in this case, you'll notice that this is the first time we've seen the no-rug list actively in the top 8 get out of basic, while Kurt Spiess does have Wasteland. Protecting himself from Wasteland is a relevant possible play. Noble Hierarch versus a Brainstorm right now in terms of plays. That's an end-of-turn Brainstorm. Second island from Kurt Spiess. Bobby Sullivan lays a tropical island. He's got 3 mana here. Attacks for 1. The kobold turns into a squire. Kurt Spiess lays a wasteland. Casts a Sword of Feast and Famine, tapping out. Brainstorm in response from Bobby Sullivan.
Alright, but this is gonna take forever because I mean it took forever and like if I that's like yeah the thing is
Untap from Bobby Sullivan.
Alright, so off the top we have, well, we won't say it was off the top. There's a Wooded Foothills in play now. Luckily, it does seem to be something of a crowd still in here, stifling some of the sound.
He's got a natural order in his hand, a classic Jamie Wakefield style natural order from, I believe that's Mirage? I forget.
Visions
was it Visions?
is the one with the leopard on it?
The leopard
yes,
on it.
That's Visions.
Not the one with the cougar on it, or was it Panther? I forget. What did you say?
There isn't one like that.
I know. And we get a Wasteland. Is that the Scavenging Ooze?
That's the Scavenging
I
Ooze in
haven't
play
seen
right
it yet.
now.
I don't know what the art looks like. I'm like, what is that card? It's probably a card I don't know by the art. Scavenging Ooze it is. And the fetch underway from Bobby Sullivan. Island, Island, Wasteland on Kurt Spice's side with a Sword of Feast and Famine. Forest Mountain with Noble Hierarch. And Scavenging Ooze. The Ooze has nothing to eat yet. But someday.
Yeah. I mean, it could be relevant to eat some lands, even though it wouldn't pump it, just to...
well, he does know that Kurt has... he's seen the list. He knows that Kurt has Crucible of the Worlds.
Exactly. So there's a Brainstorm from Bobby. Now, I was talking to Kurt about the sword. There's a Spell Stutter Sprite for that Brainstorm.
Brainstorm's countered. End of the turn, he does not tap the mana to get the Wasteland there. It probably won't come into play, but it's certainly something that could come into play.
It's something he could have done, yeah. So I was talking to Kurt about the swords because I've seen actually these lists running either, like all of them seem to choose one sword.
Volcanic Island.
There's a Volcanic Island.
Go ahead.
All of them seem to choose one sword. Like some choose Feast and Famine, some are using Body and Mind, and others are using Sword of Fire and Ice. And he just feels like the as good as Sword of Fire and Ice seems, he's like a lot of times that damage or that extra card. You know, it's nice to draw a card, but he feels like having all that extra mana and making your opponent discard is just so much stronger with the Sword of Feast and Famine.
Scavenging Ooze attacks for 2. Green Sun Zenith for 2. And that says okay. Yeah, the decision about those questions on which sword to run really are based entirely on 2 things. 1, metagame, and 2, a decision by the deck builder or the pilot about what are the parts of the metagame that you're going to be fighting over. And for Kurt, apparently it sounds like he cares about that mana.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, what can your deck capitalize on best?
And Noble Hierarch times 2 now.
2 Noble Hierarchs on board. Kurt untaps, plays a Tundra.
I think we're going to see an attempt to equip. Spellstutter Sprite carries a sword, in it comes.
Now, I mentioned earlier today, I believe, or maybe it was yesterday, I think it actually may have been both, how the Super IQs that Star City runs, and...
oh, wait, what's this?
I'll wait to see what's going on here.
He put a mana in his pool.
Yeah, he did.
What's he going to do with it? This free mana that he gets. He's only got this moment to use it. Is it going to be a Swords to Plowshares? Is it going to be a mana into a Vendilion Click? What is it going to be?
Just thinking about it. Kurt actually works at Xanadu Games, who's run some of those Super IQs and actually aired some of them, or, well, call it airing. Yeah, it's a Swords to Plowshares for
Yep. Noble Hierarch runs away. He's not going to put up the fight anymore.
Yeah, Kurt works at Xanadu Games, where they've had some of these IQ invitational qualifiers for Star City, and they covered one live coverage online not long ago.
Mental misstep for that Swords to Plowshares, paying 2 life for Bobby Sullivan. Mental misstep resolves. Swords to Plowshares is countered. Kurt down to a single card in hand. Or is it 2 cards?
Yeah, he's got 2 cards. So
okay, Stoneforge
there's
Mystic.
a Stoneforge Mystic.
How does that sound? Bobby down to a single card in hand. Wow. Does he not get anything with the Stoneforge Mystic?
That's interesting. I believe he already has the Batterskull in hand alongside another Stoneforge Mystic.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so he just moves the sword over. Dares Bobby to attack into the into the protection from green Stoneforge Mystic. That actually, we call that a Squire.
It's funny that Stoneforge Mystic does have Squire's stats. It just has this amazing ability on top of it. I remember when Squire was printed, some of us felt kind of offended that the card existed. Here we have Natural Order. Does that resolve? It does indeed.
As far as what we know, it does resolve.
There's Progenitus. All it'll take is 2 attacks from that Progenitus for Kurt's game to be over. Main deck, his answers to Progenitus are Race It. Now, we just saw this example. It looked like Kurt was in commanding position, but suddenly it's, okay, kill me in 2 turns or it's over.
Well, the interesting thing, though, in this particular situation, he really didn't have many, like, counterspell kind of things. He had a Swords to Plowshares to deal with something, which was Mental Misstep. He had a Spell Surge, right? And he just finally realized Force of Will.
Looks like he puts on a Batterskull before the trigger from the Sword of Feast and Famine hits. Yeah, he didn't have many of his control elements. Batterskull is going to
help him race it.
Help him race. He can put that Batterskull onto...
well, the Germ just picked up the sword.
Yeah.
And now he's just deciding, do I want a Wasteland? Yeah.
Yeah, he goes for the Wasteland.
Waste your
Bobby
Tropical
is
Island.
2 swings from dead here.
Not a Volcanic Island.
And Progenitus can swing for 11.
Yeah, it's really interesting here where Progenitus can swing, but...
I think that 11 is sufficient, actually. Because Kurt can gain 6 and go to 22, but he'll actually be down to 11 after this Progenitus swing.
Right.
So yeah, it looks like Bobby will be able to knock Kurt exactly to 0 unless something else adds to the power of that Germ.
That's interesting. I don't know what Kurt drew. If he can deal with the Hierarch.
He gains 6 life.
Yeah, it's a matter of can he deal with the Hierarch. That would actually be another way
another
to...
path. Yeah, kill the Hierarch. That would give him a whole turn. Progenitus just does not give you much luxury of time.
Yeah. No, I'm having trouble seeing what he drew, but maybe a
I think
brainstorm.
a Force of Will, I thought.
I know he had that in his hand already, alongside.
There is
it's
a
It is a
brainstorm.
brainstorm.
That's a
So he's got a
brainstorm.
brainstorm. So he's trying to figure out.
You can see him doing the
The math.
math in his head, what he has to accomplish here.
So, swings in, I think, first. Yeah, looks like.
And Bobby takes 6, and Kurt gains 6, goes up to 11.
There's a brainstorm. What did Bobby discard?
Right, Bobby has to discard here. I think maybe this brainstorm is happening before the damage.
Yeah,
Just
just trying to get the
Is that
untap.
swords?
It is.
Is that a sword
It
to
is.
plowshares?
It is. Indeed.
Discard your card, he says. Bobby discards a daze.
Wasn't going to be relevant anyway, but good to know that Bobby is now empty-handed, so that Kurt can indeed deal with that hierarch and should live through another turn, assuming Bobby doesn't draw another hierarch and
Swords
resolve
the
it.
hierarch.
So this should put
And he is going to eat.
oh, okay, so he's gaining a life here.
Yep, gaining a life and making a slightly larger scavenging ooze.
I mean, how much more? He only has.
He eats another one.
Okay, so that-
another life. That puts him up to 6, right?
Yeah, and also, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So he can. Okay, so this is interesting. Green Sun Zenith. Oh, for a hierarch. Wow, man,
Oh
these
my
guys top decking the
goodness.
exact answers they need.
Oh, Kurt worked so hard for that. Oh, he played that so beautifully.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember Kurt now. Seeing that face shot, I definitely remember him. He's a good guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
This isn't his first top 8 either, so.
And look at that.
He's just like,
he
man,
knows
the one card off the top, you know,
Well,
well,
it
one of
wasn't-
2 cards off the
one
top.
of
but-
one of 3 Green Sun Zenith and one of
yeah, I didn't mean it as a one of, but
yeah.
yeah, it was either like he had to either draw Hierarch or like a Green Sun Zenith.
Okay, there it is.
I mean, he only had 2 mana available, so it's not like even a Brainstorm into a Green Sun Zenith would have worked.
a lightning bolt would have worked.
That's true.
So and also a fire ice would have worked.
Okay, you're right. There were actually more outs than
So
I was
he had
thinking.
10 outs,
I was just thinking about the Hierarch. I keep forgetting the burn spells.
and then also potentially a brainstorm into a hierarch. So or a lightning. Wow.
Yeah.
There was
Wow. Yeah. That's.
I mean, if it makes Kurt feel better if he watches this at a later point in time, Bobby had 10 outs plus any brainstorm into an out.
Yeah, and as I was saying, like it really, like he did not draw. He drew so few of his control elements. He had, I think it was 3 basically squires.
Yeah.
I mean-
so rough beat there for
Yeah.
for Kurt.
Right.
And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna try to see about somebody getting a good beat.
Yeah. We're going to be giving away 6 months of Star City Games
6,
premium
1,
access.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
How many trimesters would that be?
You know, I think we've gone into this many times. I
Yeah.
think it's 2 trimesters.
Sounds about right. So, you want to go with this question here?
Which one is that? I think that was a good question.
All
Let me
right.
go with it.
All right, so we're going to ask a question. You're going to tweet the answer to hashtag SCG Premium.
That's right.
And if you answer correctly, you are entered in a pool to be randomly chosen to win 6 months of Star City Premium access.
It's okay if you put the @SCG Live. We don't need that. But you need the hashtag SCG Premium. There were a lot of people that answered the question before, and they did not put the hashtag SCG Premium. They were not eligible.
Right, because
So,
we just don't see it.
Yeah,
Like,
hashtag SCG
it's,
Premium.
It's all about that hashtag. So, the question for 6 months of SCG Premium: what players' videos have been featured today on our breaks? His MTGO videos. We've been
In
featuring
fact,
them.
all weekend we've been using him and this video as a feature.
Yeah.
And this is one little hint. It's a preview for
Right.
a next week article that will be on the premium side.
That's right. We've been featuring them all weekend long during the breaks.
What player and writers.
Right. Also a writer. Yes.
Yep. What video?
So
who is
the
the
question
author?
Who is the player? Right.
Yeah, who is the author / player of these videos?
Right.
And hashtag SCG Premium for the answer.
All right. So going into game 2 here.
Now, Kurt gets all kinds more weapons for this fight. He gets double Wrath of God as a fight. He gets Umezawa's Jite as a means to fight the Hierarchs and the birds and Vanillion clicks from his opponent. He gets access to Red Elemental Blast ×1 and Pyroblast ×2, should he want all of that.
Right. Also, Spell Pierce could be...
Yeah, Spell Pierce is absolutely relevant. On the other side of the board, Bobby Sullivan gets 4 Red Elemental Blasts. He gets access to Ancient Grudge, which is pretty good against the Stoneforge Mystic deck. So, I think that's actually a fair amount of cards that end up mattering here.
Pretty interesting. So, it should be a good match. Both guys still in sideboarding.
Yeah.
Bobby looks a little tired.
I think that you're going to cut the Scavenging Ooze fairly easily. But do you cut Lightning Bolt and just leave yourself with Fire Ice and things like Umezawa's Jite as your...
What do we want to... I mean, how many cards are we bringing in?
Well, I think you should definitely bring in 2 Ancient Grudge, and you should probably bring in some number of Red Elemental Blasts, maybe even the full set of 6 or a set of 4.
Right.
That's 6 cards.
Right.
And that's not even counting if you want to go into Jace the Mind Sculptor or not. But those 6 cards...
Yeah, let me take a little closer look here. So, obviously keep the Hierarch. The interesting thing here, though, he has 3 Hierarchs, 1 Birds. A lot of lists run 4 Hierarchs.
Yep.
So I was going to say, just cut the Birds of Paradise. And I was like, oh, wait, no, that's the 4th Hierarch.
That's part of his mana.
Yeah, so you cut the Ooze. Vendilion Click seems so strong against Stoneforge Mystic, being able to click after somebody searches for, like, a Batterskull, for instance. Grim Lavamancer, again, pretty solid against Stoneforge in killing it before it can violin a Batterskull. But, one thing that Kurt was telling me about was how, he kind of expects people to be killing the Stoneforge Mystic, which is one of the reasons that he almost feels like the sword is what he wants in a lot more situations than the Batterskull. So, it's not so attractive to kill a Stoneforge Mystic when they're just going to tap 3 and play the sword anyway.
Right.
So maybe the Lavamancers could be a potential cut to make room for something like Red Elemental Blast.
Yeah, one of the things I like about the Lavamancer is the repeated damage can actually be a problem for Kurt.
That's true. Definitely.
Seeing whether or not they're going to keep their hands. Looks like Kurt has decided about where he's at. And Bobby is already ready. We get a suspend on the Ancestral Visions. We didn't see this from him in the first game. It was definitely in there. And he's able to lay his Volcanic Island without fear of Wasteland because Bobby Sullivan does not have room for Wasteland in his deck. Noble Hierarch from Bobby Sullivan.
It's interesting, somebody brings this up on Twitter about the last match, our last game, where Kurt could have possibly equipped his own creature and then plowed it to gain a bunch of life. Maybe like the Spellstutter Sprite, which,
wow.
That may have actually kept him alive. But the problem is, I guess he could have equipped, like, the, I can't remember exactly what he had. He had the Batterskull.
I think that would have done it.
Yeah, that may have been the out. But, of course, it doesn't look like that because it looks like all he needs to do is deal with the Hierarch. That's what we saw as well. Like, deal with the Hierarch, live through another turn.
That's a good call from, who was it that said that?
That is... Jeremy points at himself. It was somebody... Unfortunately, I lost it because of all the SCG Premium
What we have then in play is a Birds of Paradise and a Noble Hierarch with 2 lands, a Taiga and a Misty Rainforest, facing off versus a Stoneforge Mystic. That card is being cast. It's not in play yet.
On the stack right now. We know that Bobby has brought in the Red Elemental Blast because there's one available right there on the top, front of his hand. So, Kurt finding a Batterskull.
Okay. Batterskull is going to be very powerful if it can get into play. It's going to be up to Bobby's, great. He'll be happy if he can just get rid of that Stoneforge Mystic just to buy time. Meanwhile, though, the Ancestral Visions is ticking down, so it's actually very important that Bobby gets something going before either of those eventualities comes to pass. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Both players cutting each other's decks after their respective searches. End of the turn, Lightning Bolt takes care of Stoneforge Mystic if it resolves. This taps out Bobby Sullivan. That bird is sick. Untap. 4 mana. Draw. Looks like a Jace to me. He has a Jace, a Red Elemental Blast. I think a Mental Misstep. And a card that I can't quite discern. I think he says go there. End of the turn, Kurt untaps, ticks down his Ancestral Visions, and casts a Stoneforge Mystic. Bobby's thinking. Brainstorm in response. Looks like a red spell there. Is that an Ancient Grudge? That is indeed an Ancient Grudge that Bobby Sullivan has found. Puts a couple of cards back. I believe that Stoneforge Mystic is going to resolve. Kurt has access to a sort of Feast and Famine, and potentially on top of that, maybe have Umezawa's Jet. He goes with the sort of Feast and Famine, puts that in his hand. End of the turn, Bobby Sullivan, Vendilion Click. Kurt's answers to this could possibly be Blast or Force of Will, otherwise it's going to resolve. How's the Vendilion Click sound? And Kurt says, let me show you what I got. Sword of Feast and Famine, Batterskull, Force of Will, Jace, and Mental Misstep.
That is a powerful, powerful hand.
Yeah. If I knew that I could have 3 mana in play and that hand, I would probably have that hand all the time. I'd be like, yes, please. I will take it. Particularly since there's a Stoneforge Mystic that helps sculpt that. Okay.
So
Batterskull is
to
very...
the bottom, yeah. Seems to me, I mean, as much as, well, it's how good that is to put the Batterskull back. It's funny, though, how quickly it can find its way right back up to the top or into your hand because of Stoneforge Mystic, you know?
Yeah.
Not that Kurt has one in hand, as we saw. I mean, could have drawn one off the top, but it's kind of interesting. It's not like putting something like Life from the Loam on the bottom of a library in the aggro loam matchup, as we saw earlier.
Vendilion Click attacks for 4. Dryad Arbor. And I think Bobby Sullivan sees that Ancestral Vision's ticking down, and I think he's going to just wait to try to Pyroblast it.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's the plan. Especially now that he knows what Kurt has available to fight over it. So here we go.
Here goes the fight. Remember that Bobby Sullivan also has a Mental Misstep in hand.
And looks like so does Kurt.
Red Elemental Blast. Mental Misstep. It looks like he's paying 2 life for that. Yep, 2 life for that Mental Misstep. Bobby Sullivan, on the other hand, chooses to pay mana for his Mental Misstep. Mental Misstep targeting Mental Misstep here. That resolves. Red Elemental Blast is still on the stack. Force of Will, discarding Jace. Red Elemental Blast gets countered, and then Ancestral Vision comes into
Resolves.
play.
Yeah. Actually
Or
resolves.
resolves,
Yeah.
not comes into play.
That would be weird. Attack with my ancestral vision.
Kurt Spice's life is starting to get kind of low. 13 from a deck that can attack in the air for 4. That's not many turns to try to come back from that. He could have his own Vendilion Click to crush the opponent's click, but brainstorm. This turn, Kurt has seen 7 cards he hadn't seen before.
Yeah. And, well, thought maybe he was about to miss a land drop. That can't be.
Crazier things have been known to happen.
That's true. Alright, Brainstorm resolves. Finishes resolving. Flooded Strand from Kurt. Pass a turn.
Untap. Ancient Grudge in hand still. A fetch.
Yeah.
I believe this is going to be a upkeep Vendilion Click.
And it looks like you're right.
From the internets, Edgar Flores, on his way back to New York, wants to share that he's sad that he only got 2 open points this weekend. This means his lead is only huge, not really huge.
Yeah. Alright, so Vendilion Click resolves. Kurt targets Bobby. Of course, both Vendilion Clicks legend rule each other. And now Kurt sees the Ancient Grudge that Bobby brought in, Jace the Mind Sculptor, and another Vendilion Click from Bobby. And Jace goes to the bottom, giving Bobby a fresh card, which are we going to be able to see it when Bobby happens to draw it? And yes, we could see that it is a Force of Will.
Edgar Flores has 216 points in the Player of the Year race now. Alex Bertoncini is going to catch up a little bit because he's in the top 4 right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like Alex is probably going to surpass Jerry Thompson.
Interesting. That race is a tight one, or it's very got a lot of potential to be a tight one.
And it looks like we've got an effect during the
Here
upkeep.
we go. Upkeep
Hey,
Vendilion Click.
Vendilion Click. This card is a card that, in an article recently by Ben Swartz, Ben said that Vendilion Click is one of the best weapons against Hive Mind.
Yeah.
A Red Elemental Blast stops this Vendilion Click from happening, and then Kurt continues with his turn. 4 mana, lays Jace the Mind Sculptor. Jace, Fate Seal. You can keep it, says Kurt.
That's from the perspective of the Jace player. That's the best kind of Fate Seal. The keep it Fate Seal. Unless, of course, you're wrong, and you give them something that they actually need.
A block from Stoneforge Mystic. Stoneforge Mystic dies.
Yes.
The Noble Hierarch has pumped up the Dryad to a 2/2.
Kurt just chump blocks that time. So, Kurt brainstorming now with Jace.
So many cards in his hand.
Yeah, trying to get his control of this match, and he's doing a pretty good job these last couple turns. I think that Red Elemental Blast was huge.
Yeah, that was a big moment in the game.
Right, he Vendilion clicks, and then was able to Red Elemental Blast Bobby's return Vendilion click.
That earlier fight over the Ancestral Vision was just a huge fight.
Yeah, that was another big one. But Kurt could afford to fight that fight because his hand was about to be refilled.
And now there's another Stoneforge Mystic. Force of Will and an Ancient Grudge in Bobby's hand. He might counterspell this with a hard cast Force of Will.
And it looks like
1,
that's
2,
what's
3, 4,
happening.
5. Force of Will.
So does Kurt have something like a Spell Pierce? Or does he... Okay, so Stoneforge Mystic countered successfully. Now Kurt knows exactly what's in Bobby's hand. And there's a second Noble Hierarch from Bobby.
He can't kill that Jace, but he can wound it pretty badly.
Kurt allows the Hierarch to resolve and wastelands away the attacking Dryad Arbor.
And go, says Bobby. Mutavault's there in play.
And there's
Kurt
a Fate Seal.
Seals once again. Now
Let me see,
Jace
you
is at
can keep
7.
Looks like another Mutavault. Yes. Another
Go.
Mutavault. Go. Bobby draws whatever it was that Kurt didn't mind giving him.
Perhaps a land? Perhaps something else?
Well, last time it was a land. This time it didn't look like one, but I could be wrong. It was a land. It was in Wooded Foothills. So, looks like Birds of Paradise are going to start trying to bring the beats here. And are they attacking Kurt or Jace? Looks like they may be attacking Kurt. Think so. No counters removed from Jace, so pass the turn to Kurt, draws his card. And we have a Brainstorm. Not from Jace, but from the card Brainstorm. Originally printed in Ice Age, reprinted again in Mercadian Masks. And then printed subsequently in some core sets, I believe.
Yeah, several core sets. Maybe only one.
Definitely exists a white border version of Brainstorm.
Jace attacks the top of Bobby Sullivan's library.
And another Keep It. Yeah, I mean that's how Jace attacks. He's got Vigilance. And that Jace now is that 9 counters? Yeah.
And
Bobby cracks the Wooded Foothills to get a fresh card on top. Kurt, meanwhile, has sculpted a pretty solid hand, you have to assume, after Brainstorm with Jace a couple turns ago and a actual Brainstorm this turn. He knows Bobby only has Ancient Grudge in hand. He saw it with the Mendelian Click.
untap. Fresh card because of the shuffle. Oh, is that a Jace? I think that's a Jace.
It is. So, looks like the kind of situation where he would go for it. Yeah, and he is. So he plays a Jace. Now, again, Kurt knows it. Oh, that works. Wow.
Boy.
I'm kind of surprised that Kurt didn't have some sort of counterspell for that after all that.
In the air, attack for 2. 0-1, pumped twice.
Swords to Plowshares.
Gains 0 life if Kurt times it right, which I'm imagining he will. Kurt reorganizing his land, getting ready for a Jace backup.
Yeah.
Let's
Fate
look
Seal,
again.
Start
Attack your
this over
library.
again, yeah. That time.
To the bottom.
Puts it to the bottom, yeah.
Gives Bobby a chance for a fresh card that could be dangerous. That's a Wooded Foothills.
Not too dangerous, but it does also give Bobby the out to the next Fate Seal, right?
Yeah, that's right. One of the things that a lot of people, if that is correct, indeed a Wooded Foothills. In with the Dryad Arbor for 3 after pumping. It is a Wooded Foothills. One of the things that a lot of people might do in a Fate Seal position with Jace is, and here Kurt Spiess Brainstorms with the Jace, is leave a card on top against a savvy opponent when you know that it's a card they might actually want, because then the Wooded Foothills might just get sacked.
Right.
In fact, it usually will get sacked. So you're attempting there just to get rid of their shuffle effect.
Right.
And then if you know that your opponent might do such a thing, you can get into a Princess Bride style Sicilian situation. You bested my giant, so therefore you must be a strong man. But you would have known I would know that. The Brainstorm effect from Jace. Kurt passes the turn, and Bobby untaps the Dryad Arbor. Ancient Grudge and an Umazawa's Jite. Oh my goodness
Down
gracious
comes the
me.
Jite.
I don't think that can be pyroblasted.
He looks like he's equipping the Dryad Arbor with the Jite. Such a strange situation where a piece of grass picks up a Jite. I guess Dryad Arbor is more than a piece of grass, but it's just so funny.
A murky haze comes over the room. I think we got some smokers outside.
Not exactly sure what just happened. Somebody breathed on the camera.
Okay, we have is that a second source to plowshares or another source of plowshares?
Yeah.
Okay. We have a word from coverage man on the floor, Glenn Jones. In Game 3, a prize split was arranged, and Alex is given a concession by Rob Castalin.
Huh, interesting. So no Reanimator in the finals.
That's right, and
that means no rug in the finals.
That's right.
Not no rug, but no rug.
No rug in the finals, right. Now, who knows how that Game 3 would have gone, but Alex Bertoncini will be in the finals.
Any idea what the deal is with camera? It's very going out of focus or something. Okay. All right, there's Jace bouncing a Noble Hierarch.
See, 3 mana, 4 mana, Jace. I think that's going to run into a Pyroblast or a Red Elemental Blast.
One or the other.
Pyroblast. That's a really devastating turn for Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, he tapped the Hierarch to do that, and
Gotcha.
when he could have, equipped it with the Jite and attacked.
Even there, throwing away the Noble Hierarch to one of the Mutabolts.
Yeah.
I mean,
probably not great.
Not great. Bobby's in dangerous position here no matter what happens, but that was a rough moment for him right there.
There's the Hierarch that was bounced with Jace coming back down, and a mental misstep from Kurt paying the actual mana this time.
Kurt is at a low 6 life.
Yeah, so.
It looks like a lot of land in Kurt's hand to me. Mental misstep and land and...
He's got 4 cards, and I think 1 or 2 of them are, in fact, lands.
He goes Fate Seal, up to 6. I know I'm partly too in love with brainstorming, but man, I would have brainstormed. Sword of Feast and Famine. Wow. Equipped. Nothing to block.
Bobby's tapped out, even though
untapped. An Ancient Grudge goes to the yard. Waiting right now for Bobby to decide what to do. He has an Ancient Grudge in the graveyard that he could flash back. He has an Umezawa's Jite he could equip to his Noble Hierarch. He goes for the flashback, destroys the Sword of Feast and Famine successfully. Now he's still facing down a Jace with 6 loyalty. There are 2 Mutavaults, it looks like, on the other side of the table, and a lot of lands. Kurt has 3 spells left in his hand as well, or 3 cards. Mm-hmm. I believe that one of them is a land and one of them is a spell. I should say one of them is a land, 2 of them are spells. Noble Hierarch equips the Umezawa's Jite. Is that a lightning bolt in Bobby Sullivan's hand? Noble Hierarch trying to decide if he wants to trade with a Mutavault. Comes on in. Mutavault quickly brought out by Kurt Spiess.
So he activates Mutavault number 1. And,
I think we're going to see a Lightning Bolt on that Mutavault. Or at least an attempt at Lightning Bolt, perhaps. Nope, he does not. Kurt blocks. Noble Hierarch dies, and Umezawa's Jite gets 2 counters on it. One of which is immediately used to kill the Mutavault. And he says go. Now that Lightning Bolt represents the potential just to kill Kurt Spiess.
Yeah, that's, I think, what Bobby's thinking. Here we have a Mutavault attacking Bobby for 2. Flooded Strand. Suspend Ancestral Visions.
Oof.
And
Kurt.
I'm a little confused. Did he just not activate Jace? Did I miss that?
I believe he brainstormed with it.
Okay.
A fetch from Kurt drops himself down to 5 life. 2 life away from that Lightning Bolt threatening death.
So one of the interesting things is we know that Batterskull is still available in Kurt's library, which could significantly change the clock situation here for this game. Jace brainstorms.
Mental misstep in Kurt Spice's hand, which makes the Lightning Bolt plan much less effective for Bobby.
Also, I believe a Pyroblast he kept. Alright, Mutavault. Swinging in again.
Bobby
knocks
takes
Bobby
2,
to
goes
10.
to 10.
Now Bobby will die to a Progenitus if Kurt somehow manages to no-rug it into play. Not likely.
Kurt lays another land. Bobby draws. Looks like a Wooded Foothills. Alex Bertoncini excited for the possibility to defend his title, coming by with Magic Ultrist.
Hannah Murray. Yep. Kurt fetches an island. Goes down to 4 life. Now this is getting dangerous.
I mean, even though he has that mental misstep in his hand, I mean, he might get it baited out of his hand by, like, let's say, a Noble Hierarch, which could carry a Jite and represents a small threat.
That's true.
Brainstorm. And then Bobby Sullivan somehow finds a pair of Barbarian Rings, and it's all over.
Alright, Mutavault again in for 2. Meantime, that Ancestral Visions, just off screen actually, under the word series in Open Series, just kind of sitting there, you kind of see the bottom corner of it, is ticking down.
Wasteland. That's another land.
There's a
for
Vendilion
Bobby
Click
Sullivan.
for Kurt, which will
Oh boy.
Vendilion Click's going to show Kurt exactly what Bobby's got available.
Big response here.
Yeah, response here is going to be an attempt at that Lightning Bolt because he knows he's going to lose it otherwise. Kurt.
Oh,
pays
the back-breaking mental misstep.
for the mental misstep here.
There you go.
Let me see. Land,
see.
keep him.
Not that he has a choice.
Yeah. That's true.
And for those of you who are wondering at home, our voices have dropped significantly now in volume because there are enough people who have left the venue that it's possible our voices could be heard.
So Kurt plays a Wasteland and immediately wastes something. want to say it was Wooded Foothills.
Yeah.
It
I think
was.
he wants,
He's trying to do some extra damage here,
and
but
then Jace attacks the deck.
yeah, he keeps Wooded Foothills from being able to search out any Dryad Arbors, which or take down. Are there even any Dryad
There's
Arbors
none left. He's got
Okay,
both of
I
them
was gonna
have
say,
been
I
killed.
didn't think there were.
Umazawa's Jite kills the Vendilion click, and Mutavault manages to connect to the face. Misty Rainforest.
from Bobby, and now Kurt. Ancestral Visions
cards
resolves.
of Ancestral Visions, just burying Bobby under cards.
Jace Brainstorm. Kurt looking through the 25 cards in his hand.
I think it's 26, man.
Oh, sorry. Roughly.
No worries.
Mutavault
Attack
you.
for 2, down to 4.
Jace Fate Seal you.
What you got?
Keep
it.
Brainstorm. Oh, attack with. I'm sorry. It's attack with Mutavault.
And he just draws it and scoops it.
All right, so going to game 3 here. That was
Oh my
that
goodness,
was a tight one.
epic game.
Yeah.
Oh my
This
goodness.
is very well played on both sides of the table to just fighting tooth and nail for the win on that one.
Waiting in the wings. In this case, actually walking around is Alex Bertoncini. His semifinal opponent, Rob Castellan, playing Reanimator, conceded the match, basically wanting to help Alex in his Player of the Year race, and we'll have to see if Alex can take it down. The last time we were in Boston, we had a different champion.
Was it what was Dan Jordan in the standard portion, right?
Yeah.
Trying to remember the legacy portion.
The other board, the one.
Or what do you, I don't even know.
Oh, we don't have any
we've
boards.
never had any boards.
A judge is coming over and asking us a question, but the answer, sadly, for the judge is no. We don't. We don't have what he's looking for. For those of you who are at home watching right now, we're gonna see the final game of Bobby Sullivan versus Kurt Spiess. No Rug versus you White, Blue White.
Ew, Stoneblade.
Ew, or woo,
Yeah.
Stoneblade, depending on your opinions of these things.
Stoneblade.
I think the official order would be Woo Stoneblade, as in
Woo,
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 Wooburg.
Woo woo. So.
Though the way most of us have been doing it's always been UW. But woo woo. Now I'm gonna say we talked earlier about missed marketing opportunities, and I think I brought up the U.S. Nationals from many years ago, where they had the ESPN camera right on the attractive Magic player who jumps up into the arms of his beautiful girlfriend after winning a match to make the top 8, and the camera had just moved away, missing it. Another potential missed marketing opportunity was killing Wooburg before he ever got out of the box. I'm sure there are some Wooburg lovers out there, but
Woo. Berg. Yeah.
I'm not sure who Wooburg is supposed to appeal to.
Not sure.
No, I watched the video. For those of you who don't know, the Wooburg marketing video, it's a puppet that is basically a Gen X style rude puppet that apparently is supposed to make you want to go play Friday Night Magic, and he pretty much spends the entire time being like a jerk to his buddy who's the star of the commercial, if he's not the star of the commercial. How did you do today, Wooburg? Well, I'm gonna take your F&M foil, I'm gonna try to rip off your friends and try to cheat at Magic. That's awesome. Yeah, he had waffles in his backpack. Yeah, it makes me want to go play F&M. You know what makes me actually want to play Magic?
Magic cards.
Watching Magic makes me want to play Magic. Yeah, I've been at a lot of the Star
That's what
City
made
games.
me want to play Magic. I saw Magic cards and said, I want to play that game.
No, like watching Magic makes me want to play Magic. I've watched about almost, we're not quite there, but we're getting close to the 30-hour mark of watching Magic, and man, I am really, really hungry to play Magic. For those of you who come to the Star City Games events, you'll know that I carry decks with me of most of the most of the formats. And as soon as I get a chance, I'm like trying to find people. Hey, you want to play Standard? You want to play Modern? You want to play Legacy? I definitely
saw you playing some Legacy a little while ago.
Yeah,
Speed Legacy.
Speed Legacy, which is hard to do when you're playing Bug Control.
That's true.
I definitely got smacked down a little bit today in Modern by the Malira combo deck. Malira with Persist creatures and then a Sacrifice Outlet. Though the first time I died, I can't remember the name of it. It's whenever a creature comes into play, untap this artifact. It's a 3 casting cost artifact, tap to deal a damage.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I can't remember the name of the artifact.
Is it Blasting Station?
Blasting Station,
There we go.
I got blasted out by a Malira Blasting Station Kitchen Finks. He's like, I'll gain infinite life and you can take an infinite damage. I'm like, actually, you're not going to gain infinite life, I don't think, because I'm going to be dead first. Kurt Spiess, winner of the second game, means Bobby Sullivan is going to be able to go first in this decisive third game. Very dangerous because of the Noble Hierarchs and Birds of Paradise that can let him push into powerful threats before Kurt gets set up.
Both of these players vying for an opportunity to play versus Alex Bertoncini in the finals. Alex Bertoncini, who received a concession from his semifinals opponent after a prize split sort of agreement. So we know that the finals will be Alex Bertoncini with no rug versus either Bobby Sullivan with no rug or Kurt Spiess with blue-white Stoneblade. Just an idea. If you have a better one, probably. You have a better one? Take it. Alright, Island Go from Bobby. It's a rare opener for the no rug deck.
End of the turn, end of your turnitis, Brainstorm.
There it is. Kurt lets that resolve.
Okay, I see that Bobby has lands in his hand. I don't like that end of your turn Brainstorm. I would have held on to that, and he already had that land and he needed, and I don't know. Seems like a waste.
Well,
turn 2, Misty Rainforest.
AJ Soccer would tell you you don't have to use Brainstorm. You get to use Brainstorm.
Exactly. That is not a you don't get trapped by the article that has you taught. Hey, I should use my mana every turn. You know, usually you should use your mana every turn, but sometimes you can gain some value by not using your mana. And Bobby Sullivan gets a forest, making him have his 2 colors that are his primary colors for his deck, Wasteland Proof and Ready. Yeah, a Ghost Quarter would actually be pretty effective against Bobby Sullivan. At least at this point. We see a Noble Hierarch in hand, a Red Elemental Blast, a Lightning Bolt. I think I see a Tarmogoyf. Noble Hierarch gets dropped down on the table. Kurt says okay, untaps. Well, nothing to untap, but takes his turn, lays a Tundra, and says go. Bobby untaps, draws an Ancient Grudge, lays a Misty Rainforest, and probably is going to cast what looks like a Green Sun Zenith here.
It's definitely a Green Sun Zenith.
One, 2, 3. Green Sun Zenith for 2. Kurt says Brainstorm in response. He's got a Force of Will. I think he's got a Swords to Plowshares in his hand as well. You'll notice that Kurt Spice's Brainstorm is going to have the benefit of a full shuffle effect here, so it's a more effective Brainstorm than Bobby Sullivan's was. Green Sun Zenith resolves. Tarmogoyf, the likely candidate. He could choose, if he hasn't cited it out, Scavenging Ooze, but Tarmogoyf seems better to me right now. Just better in general in this matchup.
And it is a Birds of Paradise.
Going over the top.
Spell Snare.
So that Spell Snare won't hit him.
Yeah. Avoiding the Spell Snare by paying 3 to cast a Birds of Paradise off of Green Sun Zenith, when he only needed the 2.
There is no Spell Snare in Kurt Spice's deck, though.
Huh, interesting. Wonder what that was about then.
He might have. He gets to look at the deck
Right,
list.
doesn't have it sitting in front of him.
He doesn't get to have it sitting in front of him.
Yeah, so he may have just been...
I mean, I think this match started about an hour, maybe longer ago.
Yeah. Definitely seems like the game 2 was very, very long. Dryad Arbor.
Lots of mana out there.
Dryad Arbor attacks.
Comes in for 2, a little boost from the Noble Hierarch. A fetch from Kurt Spiess. Gets his red source.
Mutable.
End of the turn.
Vendilion Click.
Or Pyroblast.
Yep. Pyroblast resolves, knocking that Vendilion Click off the stack and into Bobby's graveyard. So Bobby now untaps, draws his card, has access to 5 mana here. If he plays a land, he'll have 6. A lot of mana creatures. Seems like access to 6 mana is a lot more frightening in Standard right now. But there's Jace the Mind Sculptor, someone who you do not see in Standard right now.
Force of Will.
Force of Will for the Jace.
We got a Red Elemental Blast that Bobby could fight this with. I predict we're going to see it.
Looks like it.
Red Elemental Blast. Mental Misstep?
Yeah.
And the big fight over Jace pushes Kurt Spiess, his control cards, down a little bit.
Yeah. And that's
Wrath of God. Ooh, there we go.
That is a way to
Ouch.
stop the natural order.
Bobby Sullivan's board more than halved. Dryad Arbor, Noble Hierarch, Bird of Paradise, all dead. And that once awesome-looking natural order now looks a little bit weak. Kurt Spiess 6 lands to Bobby Sullivan's 3. Go, go, go. Draw, go, draw, go.
Not to draw go, but it's not a lot of thinking draw go.
I think I see Bolt, Natural Order, Red Elemental Blast, Jace, and Ancient Grudge in Bobby Sullivan's hand.
And Kurt wastelands that volcanic island.
That's his only red source.
Here's
a Tarmogoyf off the top. Source to Plowshares in Kurt Spice's hand. Swords. Remove that guy from the game. Bobby takes a moment of pause to look through his graveyard, and then lets the Tarmogoyf die.
Counting the life gain there, I think.
Yep.
And Kurt,
Stoneforge Mystic.
Kurt has one of Jace's good buddies from Worldwake, Stoneforge Mystic. Stoneforge looking for a Sword of Feast and Famine. Bobby untaps, draws, cannot even cast an Ancient Grudge in his hand.
With
Brainstorm.
only a forest and an island in play, it does protect him from Wasteland, but it also means that his diversity of mana is pretty weak. Main phase Brainstorm, as you said.
And it looks like he's going to have access to red, I believe, here if he so chooses. There's a Misty Rainforest for Bobby. Crit untaps, draws a card, and
Look at that hand. Force of Will.
whose hand are you looking at?
I'm looking at Kurt Spice's hand. So many lands in play, so many good cards in hand. I mean, the Ancient Grudge is all that's really, I think, keeping Bobby from being in a position where I would tell him just to scoop it up. Kurt Spice is able to, with so much mana open, easily protect a Batterskull.
He searched for the Sword of Feast and Famine.
Oh,
Now,
did
we
he?
don't
I'm sorry,
know
my
if
bad.
he may have it in hand, the Batterskull.
Thank you for
Never
that.
quite saw it, but
Bobby Sullivan fetching out. Let's see if it's going to be a Volcanic Island. Yeah, Volcanic Island.
and we're opening the gates. Lots of noise in the background as people clean up the event site, pack things up. Alright, so Bobby untaps, draws a card.
Is that another natural order?
I think it may have been, but he, yeah, I think it is. It is. No, is that Green Sun
Green
Zenith?
Sun Zenith, okay.
Yeah, for a second it did look
The
like
green
that.
color is
They both have a kind of a similar look to them.
a dark green hue on the edge of them.
Yeah.
Across the room, Glenn Jones is enjoying his rest while he waits for this match to finish.
Where is he? I didn't see
Looks like he might be involved in
there he is. He's
a boxing match or something over there.
Oh, he's sparring. Alright, so Sword of Feast and Famine filed in.
Sword of Feast and Famine and Jace. Look at that.
Let's go. Oh my
Do
gosh.
you recognize any of those cards from
It looks like
Magic?
standard 2 months ago.
Maybe standard with ++.
So here's a Force of Will, removing Jace for Curdy's Jace. I'm having a good old time too. No, I love this. I'm not lying. I love it. I love watching this kind of matchup. So Jace is indeed countered. Scalding Tarn cracked for Kurt. Gets a Volcanic Island. Second Scalding Tarn.
Scalding Karn?
Scalding Karn.
I don't know.
Scalding Karn.
You know,
Gets
if you
a
had a
Tundra.
Scald in play and there was a Karn, you could Scald Karn.
You could also just kind of burn him with fire. Scalding Karn. There's an Ancient Grudge for the sword. Stoneforge Mystic playing Squire, knocking Bobby from 21 to 20.
Bobby has been the recipient of many Swords to Plowshares helps. You know, like what we have here is a Natural Order, a Mental Misstep, a Lightning Bolt, and a...
I want to say, I'm having trouble. Oh,
Green Sun
We
Zenith.
knew that.
Yeah, we knew
about
that. So, maybe it's just me. I've been curious about this whole weekend. Is one Eternal Witness just not good enough for No Rug?
I don't know. I feel like. I feel like I thought I saw a list with Eternal Witness in it today. I don't know if it was a No Rug though. It may have been a different deck.
Yeah. For those of you out there who are No Rug experts, why don't you let us know? What do you think about the idea of Eternal Witness in No Rug, or even in No Bant? Is there just not enough room for it? Is it too weak, or is it worth considering?
So, Bobby Green Sun Zeniths for a Noble Hierarch, setting himself up for a natural order into Progenitus situation, or natural order into any green creature. Kurt plays a second Squire Forge Mystic. Resolves.
Batterskull.
Which he can violin with the other Stone Forge Mystic.
Remember, there is an Ancient Grudge in the graveyard for Bobby.
That's true.
All it takes, though, is 3 mana available for Kurt just to dodge. Natural Order.
Is that
You
what
gotta
he
be
drew, or
wondering.
he drew. What did he draw? That final card.
There's a Mental Misstep, Lightning Bolt, Natural Order, and a card I can't quite tell what
Right.
it is.
That's what I'm wondering about.
Is that the Floral Spasm Scavenging Goose?
I don't think it's Scavengers, but
I hope it's not.
no,
It's a Green Sun
You know, that's what I was thinking it was, but I thought he already used that.
Well, he can draw another one. I think you just go for it here and just hope that Kurt does not have the answer. You've exhausted a lot of Kurt's answers. Does it work? Does Natural Order work?
Now, Kurt Kurt has 5 mana open for a Force of Will.
And there we go. Tapped out. Kurt actually does not have to worry about the Ancient Grudge this moment, so he can just put the Batterskull into play at the end of the turn.
Which he certainly does.
There's the Germ, and this is going to be the beginning of the end, I think, for
It's
Bobby.
a Pokey Germ.
So, to answer a question earlier that you asked, what my favorite creature is, I came up with it after thinking through all of the decks I've ever built and all of the decks that I've ever done anything with, and it's a tie. Wall of Roots and Dwarven Blast Miner.
Interesting.
2 favorite creatures.
So, real quick, we just have Stoneforge Mystic attacking alongside a Mutavault and a Germ.
And then a Wasteland to get rid of the only non-basic land.
Wow. So, I think he just swung in for 7, I want to say, and gained some life in the process.
I've been watching
4,
this
5, 6,
entire
7.
game, thinking about what a Blast Miner would do if it was able to live.
Now, remind everybody what those 2 cards that you mentioned do. I know
Dwarven Blast Miner is red and a 1. It also has Morph, but red and a 1 for a 1/1 dwarf that for tap it and red 2, you can destroy a non-basic land.
Wow.
Now, the Morph cost is red.
Okay. But it just sits back there and destroys non-basic lands for mana and tap, right?
Yep. Just casts non-basic killing Stone Rain. That's
Just
its
over
spell
and
that
over
it
again.
casts.
Wow. So here we go. Ancient Grudge looks like it's getting flashed back.
And the Batterskull just
goes
popped
back
back.
to the hand. Exhausts that Ancient Grudge.
And there's a Stoneforge Mystic just waiting to put it back down.
Yep. So looks like 3 more in. Bobby goes to 10.
I think we're about to see a Kurt Spiess, Alex Bertoncini
Green Sun Zenith.
for Uno, numero uno.
Nothing he can get here other than Noble Hierarch or Dryad Arbor. We've already seen at least 1 Dryad Arbor in play.
Yep, and the bird that was in his deck is now in
That's
the graveyard.
true, yeah.
In the graveyard already.
Very true. So Noble Hierarch comes down, and Kurt vials in the Batterskull with Stoneforge Mystic.
I'm trying to come up with some set of plays that would bring Bobby Sullivan back into this game, and I can't come up with it.
Kurt doing some math here.
Here they
Swinging
come.
with everything.
It's an attack for 8.
And apparently it all goes through. So Kurt goes back
There
up
we
to
go.
20.
Go.
Wow. And
Extends
there
the
it is.
hand.
Kurt Spiess. Congratulations to Kurt for making it to the finals here of the StarCityGames.com Open Series in Boston.
Now we
It's,
just have to wait for the inevitable